Happy Friday, group fitness instructor students. I just wanted to touch base with you all. I know that we didn't meet face-to-face this week, so I wanted to just kind of make sure that everybody is on the right or the same page, I should say, regarding our course. So for this week, which is week 8, so you should be working under the week 8 module, which is the week of October 21st. And you will see for this week, you're just, as far as the textbook goes, you're just covering one chapter, chapter 12. Now that deals primarily with nutrition. Okay, so that's all this chapter deals with is nutrition. So as always, I've got my discussion board. So make sure that you are posting your questions on the discussion board and you're responding to each other and trying to help each other come up with, answers to those questions. Also, you will see for this particular week, I have some different videos that kind of deal with nutrition, but I also have some helpful formulas posted here as well. And I do talk about those helpful formulas right here in this video link. So this link will take you to the video where I kind of discuss, how to use those different formulas. But then these next two links, page 1 and page 2, is just that formula that I was talking about in the video, but seeing the actual page up close. So, because I know it was hard to see in the video. So then, of course, you've got your review questions, and then I do have some nutrition case studies that I'd like you to answer this week as well. So use your textbook and all these videos and articles and stuff that I've posted here as a resource. You're also more than welcome to use the website choosemyplate.gov, because that does have a lot of useful nutrition information on it as well. And then, of course, refer back to your nutrition textbook. For those of you that took the nutrition class, right, for the program, that is a great resource as well to help you answer those case studies, okay? So that is everything that you can see that's going to be due online this week. And then you'll see for the next week, week 9, that's where I have the last chapter, chapter 13 materials, okay? So that'll be next week. Now moving ahead, I just wanted to give you a heads up. If you go to the week 10 module, you will see that I have posted a review sheet for your mock exam, which you'll be taking actually the week of, let's see, what is this? The week of November 4th. You can take that mock exam, which is located right here. Now, if you want to take it early, you're more than welcome to do that. It's up, it's available now. So for those of you that want to get it done early, you can do that. But I also posted some other strategies to help you prepare for the ACE exam, because I know some of you are going to be taking it here in November. So I have some test taking strategies from ACE. We have a webinar that actually ACE put together that talks about the exam, right? And so again, some test taking strategies. So this webinar is very, very helpful. And then just some additional tools here to help prepare yourself for that exam. So I would encourage you to, look through those links and use those as study tools to help you prepare for not only my mock exam, but also your ACE exam. Okay, so I wanted to give you a heads up on that. And then lastly, if you go to week 11 module, you will see the very first link is the teaching demonstration scoring rubric. Now, I know coming up here in 3 weeks, I think it is, we have our first teaching demonstrations. So this is the scoring rubric that I have for the 100-point teaching demonstration. So when you do your teaching demonstration, you're going to print this off and you're going to staple this scoring rubric to the lesson plan that you're submitting on the day of your teaching demonstration. So this scoring rubric needs to be printed off, stapled to the front of your lesson plan, so you'll turn it in to me on the day that you do your teaching demonstration. And this is what I will write on when I grade you on that particular day. So when you turn in your lesson plan and your, anything else that you might have with it, Everything should be typed, okay, and that'll be due on the day of your presentation. Then you can see the breakdown of the 100 points, basically. So first of all, I'm looking at your lesson plan as a whole, and you've kind of already created that, right? You have your title, you have your purpose and objectives, the primary audience, the duration, the class theme, the general format, equipment needed, and music, beats per minute. So that's something we already talked about, and you should have pretty much created. The next 25 points is really your choreography notes, is what I call it. So you had that kind of table format where you had your warm-up first of all, and then you're listing possible progressions and regressions for each exercise. You're listing how many reps or how long you're performing each exercise for, and then you're listing the purpose of each individual exercise. So you're doing that for everything in the warm-up, you're doing it for everything in your conditioning phase, and then for everything in your cool-down phase. So that those choreography notes need to be well detailed. Okay, so that's your next 25 points. Then these next 45 points really are day of presentation, right? So on the day that you do your presentation, I want to make sure that you're well prepared. So if you've been practicing this teaching demonstration, you really shouldn't have to refer to your notes a whole lot. I mean, you might have to here and there. I know we all get, get kind of like a deer in headlights, right? And we need to kind of refer back to our notes to kind of keep us on task. And that's okay, but as long as you're not totally reading from them through the whole presentation. So I know that you're prepared. I know you've practiced by just being able to tell if you're referring to your notes or not. Also, I'm looking for eye contact, right? You're watching your participants. You can demonstrate mirroring, you can face them, but you can also face the mirror as well. You could go back and forth. Try to be exciting, motivating, make it fun, right? Your cueing is effective. You're trying to use all three cueing styles: verbal, visual, kinesthetic. You're following your timelines accordingly. So for example, if your class is supposed to start at 12 o'clock, you start at 12 o'clock. If it's supposed to end at 12:45, you end at 12:45. Instead of if you end at 12:30, okay, you still had 15 minutes of class. Or maybe you end at 12:50, right? You just went over by 5 minutes and you cut into my time that I need to be elsewhere, right? So we're making sure that we are, for your participants is what I'm getting at. Your participants come in, they pay for a 45-minute class or for a 60-minute class, whatever it is. Make sure you're following that. And you're trying to follow your timeline. So for example, if I give myself 5 to 8 minutes to do a warm-up, but I only do it in 3, now I'm going to have to come up with some additional time to make it up. That, I took 2 minutes out of my warm-up that I had accounted for my warm-up. So now I'm going to have to maybe add 2 minutes into my conditioning segment to kind of make up for that. So we're just trying to follow our timelines. Your music should be ready to go. You should have it queued up when you begin your class. And so you'll have a chance to go back and get it all hooked up, with Bluetooth and get your mic on and get ready to go before you teach your class. Obviously, you're going to give your introduction and closing while you teach your class, trying to incorporate one or more of those teaching strategies that we learned at some point during your teaching demonstration. All of the movements that you perform, your technique should be correct, right? When you choose an exercise, you want to make sure that you are doing it correctly. Right? So your technique and execution of the movements is correct. We can hear you, right? You need to project your voice. So of course I'm going to give you the microphone, but you want to make sure that you're projecting your voice into the mic and we can hear you. You're observing your participants. If you see somebody performing something incorrectly, you are providing feedback and trying to help them correct that movement. You're monitoring an intensity. So for example, during class, we want to make sure that everybody understands to work at their own pace, but we want to get our heart rate up for certain segments of the class. So maybe simple things like saying, hey, how's everybody doing? Can I get a thumbs up? How are you feeling? And if you have somebody, obviously, people in class giving you a thumbs down, that's an indicator that, hey, maybe I'm pushing a little too hard and I need to adjust as needed. So try to, monitor that intensity. Maintained the structure. So again, you have a lesson plan for a reason. So we want to try to follow that lesson plan. Professionalism, confidence, positive attitude, welcoming. Those are all traits of a great leader. So try to, when you're teaching your class, just exude that sort of stuff. You're giving the progressions and regressions during class. Again, you are observing, their performance and correcting them as needed. And then if you're doing beat-driven exercise, you want to make sure that you're trying to stay with that phrase and that beat when needed. So during class, really 45 points is a big chunk of your 100 points. So I'm kind of looking at your performance as a whole, and that's kind of what I'm breaking down. The next 5 points is your promotional flyer. So like I had said, 1 week prior to your teaching demonstration, you're going to be submitting to me in class 5 color copies of your promotional flyer. So it has to be submitted the week prior to your actual teaching demonstration. So on the flyer, you're going to obviously list the class title, a brief description of what the class is, the location where it's going to be, like the room number, your name, and I would include with your name like health fitness specialist student, right? So people know that you're a student. Also, the time, the date, obviously the important things that need to go on a flyer, and most importantly that it's free, because we're going to post these around campus and try to get, some people to come to your class. So just try to make it eye-catchy, make it colorful, just to kind of draw someone's attention in, like, oh, that looks interesting. What is that? And then you're just going to provide that detailed information, like the who, what, when, where, why. So that flyer is worth 5 points. And then lastly, or not lastly, I'm sorry, the next one is responding effectively. That's 15 points. So this is where during your class, I'm going to look a little closer at your cueing to make sure that your cueing is timely. You're giving enough cues during the class. How do you handle participants who might not be catching on to your choreography, or they're performing exercises incorrectly? How do you respond to that? And then if by chance a participant injures themselves doing your class, how are you going to care for that, right? Because we just talked about that in the last chapter, what's some basic stuff we can do as a group fitness instructor if somebody gets injured in our class. So if that does happen, I've been known to sometimes, have someone fake an injury, right? Just to see how you respond. Not always, but sometimes I've done that. And then lastly, the self-evaluation questions. These are worth 5 points. So after you give your teaching demonstration, you and I will talk just for a few minutes, right? I'll give you feedback. I'll tell you, my thoughts on your presentation. And then your classmates will also fill out a piece of paper giving you their thoughts on, your presentation, okay? And what you did well and what maybe you needed to improve upon. So that you're going to go home after getting all that feedback, right? You're going to take it all in and think about it. And you're going to answer these 5 questions. And then you're just going to type your answers to those questions and email them to me within 2 days of your presentation. And by doing that, you're going to get an additional 5 points. So this is the scoring rubric and how the 100 points is broken down for your teaching demonstration, okay? So the last thing I wanted to just stress to you was your ACE exam. I had asked everybody to let me know when their exam date was scheduled. So far, I've heard from Rachel, Bailey, and Jake, right? So I need to hear from the rest of you as far as what date and time did you schedule your ACE exam. Okay, so within the next week, please get that to me. And then also, for those of you that are, for your videos, if you're making videos, I know that when we use the video tool right within our assignments, it really does work best with Google Chrome, with Chrome, right? Versus Firefox or Internet Explorer. So sometimes, and I've ran into this problem before, if I've used Internet Explorer, when I try to create a video, it will cut off only after a couple minutes. So when I use Google or Chrome, for example, you can do, a longer video. So for those of you that, if you're turning in a video assignment like you just did this last week, you had a 15-minute video, Chrome does seem to be a better browser for that. So that's just an FYI. And then lastly, please read my feedback and listen to my feedback for your online assignments. So for example, this 15-minute teaching demonstration that you just submitted this past week, I did a video and I talked to you about your teaching demonstration and feedback on your performance in that video. So please go back and click the link so you can watch and listen to my feedback. Also go back to all of your assignments, like for example, your weekly chapter review questions. I did provide the correct answers to all of the questions that you got wrong in my assignment feedback. So make sure you're reading that. And then lastly, on your PowerPoint notes that you're taking, I also gave feedback on the questions. So you did say, something that you're not clear about. I always responded to that and answered that question for you. So make sure that you're reading those responses and listening or watching any video or audio feedback for everything that's online, because that could be helpful as well. So you guys have a great week. I will be in Zoom again next Thursday from 11:30 to 12. The link is provided in this email as well. So for those of you that want to come in to Zoom and talk to me next Thursday, let's touch base. Let's talk about, your teaching demonstration. Let's talk about the ACE exam, whatever you want to talk about, or if you have specific questions, that's what I'm going to be there for on Thursday from 11:30 to 12. So have a great weekend, everybody.